Hi there, I'm Rex King. Welcome back to Monday Night Movie. Today we talk about The Bridge on the River Kawi. The Bridge on the River Kawi is a film based off a novel by Pierre Boulez. The initial draft of the film was written by Carl Foreman. However, David Lean, the man who would eventually go on to direct this film, thought that the script sucked. So he brought in Michael Wilson and went down to Sayong to write the film. He wanted to be around the location to better write the script. The film was an instant hit with audiences and critics alike. It was initially released in 1957. It made $30 million on a budget of about $2.8 million. And it went on to win 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. The film is regarded as one of the best war movies of all times. And many directors reference this film as the film that got them into filmmaking. Is this film truly as great as everyone says? This is going to be a tough one, guys. So, The Bridge on the River Kwai's story is okay. It's really busy for the most part. And I don't mean that as a complete insult. Let's examine it. The story follows Colonel Nicholson, played by Alec Guinness, a British soldier who leads a group of soldiers who are in a prisoner of war camp that's led by the Japanese. The Japanese soldier in charge wants Nicholson and his officers to help build a bridge over the River Kawi. However, Nicholson initially refuses to build the bridge with his officers, saying that officers should not work due to the Geneva Convention, following the exact letter of the law because he believes the Geneva Convention is basically the law that all officers should follow in wartime. However, the Japanese don't see it that way, and when he refuses to let his officers work, the Japanese soldiers in command put them in the oven, which is this torture chamber, which is really hot, and they are forced to stay there for days, until they agree to work. However, Nicholson continues to refuse to work, and inevitably the Japanese soldier in command breaks down and allows Nicholson and his officers out of the oven, and allows them to continue not to work on the bridge, but help lead the men that would work on the bridge. This leads Nicholson to decide to use his men to actually really build the bridge so he can continue to build his battalion, keep spirits up, and restore some order. However, he ends up becoming obsessed with building it, and he basically decides to make officers work and asks the injured and the sick to build it as well. Basically going against the same principles he established in the beginning, becoming obsessed with the bridge. This plot could have worked and is the meat of the film. However, there's also a secondary plot where a soldier named Sears, a Navy commander, who escapes the camp, played by William Holden, is brought to this group of commandos who want to go back in and blow up the bridge that the soldiers are building. And this is where the film gets complicated, because it tries to balance these two plots, but arguably the go in and blow up the bridge plot isn't as interesting as the build the bridge plot. I mean, it's not that the characters are bad or that the story's a bad story by itself. It's just, it's a different paced film. That one's more of an adventure story, adventure epic about soldiers going in to blow up a bridge, where the other one focuses more on the battle of wills between Nicholson and the Japanese. And Nicholson's inevitable breakdown of his pride and forces where he just forces himself to build the bridge out of pride, believing that this is the only way to show British supremacy. It really doesn't work when the film does this, focusing on two different stories that way. It just takes away from both stories. And that's a shame here. Because, again, I think both stories are good. They just don't play off each other all that well. The characters are well written. I personally love the characters of Nicholson and Sears. I believe they contrast off each other really well. Nicholson being a British soldier who wants to follow the rules of war, even if that means his death, where Sears wants to basically just survive and will go to any lengths to do that. It's an interesting conflict, and I do enjoy how those two characters play off each other. Again, it's just a shame that their two stories end up taking away from each other. The performances are brilliant. I think Alec Guinness is probably my favorite performance in this film. I think he plays Nicholson perfectly. I do wish we got more time with him, seeing him change his perspective, but I do enjoy Guinness's performance. And William Holden's also brilliant as Shears. He plays him perfectly. The visuals, this film was shot in CinemaScope, and it is breathtaking how the cinematography works. This was shot on location in Saigon, and God, does this film just look breathtaking for a film from the 1950s. The score is also really well done. It's the perfect epic score for a film of this length and this magnitude. I really enjoyed listening to the tracks after I was done watching the film. At the end of the day, The Bridge on the River Kwai is a good film, and if you haven't seen it, I do advise checking it out. It's just not as perfect as everyone else makes it out to be. It's unfortunate that I have to say it that way, but there you have it. I give The Bridge on the River Kwai a 7 out of 10. Still a good movie, and I definitely recommend it. Well, that's what I thought about The Bridge on the River Kwai. What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Well, next week I'll be taking a look at In This Our Life. Until then, I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you have a great time with your family. And I'll see you next time.